sorry.
you.
I have to interrupt this. I don't like to let certain things just slide. What was the stat that you just quoted?
Well, I asked if I could pull it up. I don't have that
But
off the top of my head.
you said you think it's over 50% of women.
I think I know the stat she's referring to. It's like at colleges they say over 50% of women have been sexually assaulted. But then when you look into it, it's like.
Why don't you tell us what you heard?
I told you I don't have it off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up. But it's something about like half or more than half of women
have been what?
SA'd or.
What? So when you say SA, what does that include?
Anything unconsensual that is where they've been touched without that.
So if a man were to tap.
What do you mean? What is that?
If a man were to tap a woman on the shoulder, is that SA?
No.
It's unconsensual.
Not sexual.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
well.
Yeah, like.
Do you know about sexual touching?
I have a question.
Sexual touching without consent?
Yes.
And much of that can be perception.
It could be harassment.
Well, hang on. But much of that can be perception. So, like, let me give you an example. If a guy's sitting at a party, he's drinking, a woman walks over and just like randomly starts rubbing his shoulders, right? I've seen this many times. Nobody says shit, right? However, that's definitely sexual touching. He definitely hasn't consented to it. It's just nobody gives a shit. Mm-hmm. Let's switch it. Woman sitting at a party, right? Doesn't know the guy. He walks over and just starts rubbing her shoulders. Do you think that would become problematic?
I think it's odd, but I personally, if some guy did that to me, I'd just be like, what? Like, I don't know. To me, that wouldn't be like scarring.
Sure, but if a woman said, okay, wait a second, that was sexual touching without my consent, would you agree with her?
I wouldn't agree with her, but I wouldn't look her in the face and say.
You wouldn't say no, right? You wouldn't say no, and so that's the distinction that's being talked about here. Is that, wait a second. The reason we clarify these terms and we want them specific is because it's very clear to me that when women in an unwanted way touch men, just nobody gives a shit. They just don't care.
No, I agree with you. I think that I'm not trying to minimize the amount of SA that men experience. Like,
right. But this way the classification matters, because I'm not sure I would consider that SA, right?
No, I mean I agree with you.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
Just saying I'm not trying to minimize.
But you realize how many of these kind of like tortured studies and stats that you would look at where the assumption of SA is that they would consider those categories even though they maybe don't belong there.
Even worse, like wolf whistling is.
And if I will touch you now when we will go to smoke cigarettes, this is called as ACCUSES? Or
you realize so when you went back there to smoke a cigarette, did you note that I took a wide path, went all the way around you, never went anywhere near you, and came in just to avoid such a thing from even happening?
No, I didn't say.
I know you don't have to worry about it. That's the difference.
I love it. You watch your back, bro.
You don't have to
go smoke a cigarette.
You don't have to worry about it.
No,
but guess what? But guess what?
We will call it as a sexual assessment. It's called or no?
We do have to worry about it.
Will it's called a sexual assessment or no?
I mean, who knows? But because the criteria is so gray, it's not really known to me or clear to me what could be considered assault or.
Living underscore donated $200.
What?
Holy crap! I've technically been essayed several times in my life.
You
by
probably
women.
have.
I don't report any of them. Society doesn't notice casual women essaying. Also, bear versus black man, or black man versus white man.
I'm more scared of a white man.
I love white man.
Why would you be more scared of a white man?
So now, not only are you a sexist, but you're also racist.
Yeah. Just instant by category. But you see what I mean when I say, like, it's not, when you ask the question to me, it's not altogether clear without very specific criteria as to what that could even mean, because I think that, yes, I could be brought up on charges for potentially brushing up against a woman, even without having any untoward anything towards her. I just happened to not think twice. I was just walking by, brushed up against her. Do I think it's within the realm of possibility? I do. And that's the part men always have to think about. That seems like women, as they think that men are hyper predatory, right? Now the distance has the gap has grown and grown and grown.
You know why it's growing?
Yeah, it's not your turn. Hang on. So this is why, right? Now that we have to think about that all the time, you see this distance and this gap widen. And it's specifically because if you look at it like the example I gave with the shoulder rubbing, right? You're like, yeah, no, that's really not SA. But if she said it was, you're like, I wouldn't tell her no. And so that's why it's not altogether clear to me. It really
also,
isn't.
we had a girl on the show. I think you were on this panel, Andrew.
Well, I had a girl on the show take off her, clothes and like to assault me with her. Yeah. So whatever.
That's not what I was going to talk about. But there was a girl who was. We were having this conversation, and she said there was a study done here at the local university, and that it included catcalling that fell within the purview of SA.
Yeah, I was on that show, I think.
Or were you on that show? So I find these studies that they do, it includes all sorts of things, all the way from some, benign or, mild harassment, all the way to like forcible violence. And I find like encapsulating all of those things into this sort of nebulous term SA is not particularly helpful.
It inflates the numbers.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Right, but like when we're having this conversation, and it's I suppose some sort of framing where you're saying like the listener is going to interpret over 50% of women are at like full blown forcibly and they're walking down a staircase somewhere, some random man just starts them up and like.
Well, that's not what I said.
Okay. Well, I'm just curious, and I don't know if this is a bit inappropriate of a question, but I think y'all were like, you were saying like, I bet every single woman here at this table has been SA'd.
I didn't say that.
You said you were though, right?
Right.
Okay. So, I'm just curious. I'm not going to ask the details. Who here has been SA'd? Okay. Wait, sorry. Just show of hands again. Oh, it's a. You're wondering.
How
oh
many
my God.
times?
This is. Hold on. Oh, that's crazy.
Well, no.
Bro.
Here's the thing. You can't use that as an argument because a lot of women feel not validated in what it is.
That's right. They feel.
Wait, I do have a follow-up question.
They feel
here.
it's not proven.
I do have a follow-up question.
Some of them
Hold
feel
on.
not.
Allow me to do
She
the
said
follow-up
some of
question
them
first.
feel
Stop. Okay. Those of you who raised your hand, did you go to the police?
No, couldn't.
No. Did you? Yes, you went to the police?
Does that mean it didn't
Wait,
happen?
hold on. Is this the guy who the choking thing?
There's a separate incident.
Okay. And then did you go to the police? Mm-hmm. Okay. That was it. That was my question.
And so you're saying because we didn't go to the police?
I'm not saying anything. I don't know what happened or what
is that
didn't.
Proving?
Well,
A lot of men don't go to
And
the
did you
police.
go to the
yeah.
police?
So I'll tell you the term, right? No, they would laugh me out of the building. Right, they'd laugh me out of the building, even though it was clear on video.
So
they would laugh me. They would laugh me out of the building. It's not even an option for us. But the thing is like, so to kind of dive into this, all Brian's trying to say is like, if you have this kind of hyperinflated number, which would include things like catcalling or things which clearly are not assault, right? These should be in kind of totally different categories, and the reason they're put into the same is to inflate the number, thus making men look far more predatory than they actually are. So if that is the case, then, and you can even see like kind of with your rah-rah feminism that pops out really quick.
I would say I have a rah-rah.
Well, you did, and I'll explain where I saw it. I'll explain the exact moment that I saw the rah-rah feminism. It was when when I said, yes, I feel, and you well, you're going to invalidate? Well, yeah, and here's why. You have to invalidate feelings for proof and evidence with clear criteria, because otherwise, how do we get the actual number, right? You could I couldn't just say, do you feel like you were S8?
Right. I mean, then in court it wouldn't hold up. But
well,
I
it's
don't
not
think
just
that means
in
you
court.
should look someone in the face and say, well, then it didn't happen.
But it can't really hold up external to that either, because you're a number who would never make it into the stats absent court, right? Because you never went to court. So then, but you would be counted in this number. So how would we prove that? How could we falsify that other than...
You can't.
You can't, right? You can't. So this is why when people say, believe all women, it sounds to me like fucking
I don't think that's true. No, I disagree.
Yeah, it sounds to me like total absurdity, because it's like by your own metrics, you invalidate the very thing that we're supposed to believe.
Well, then do you not feel that there's a discrepancy between in the categories of what SA is, you even said like it's shoulder rubbing. So do you not think there's like a kind of an equal number of the people who are counted in that statistic who weren't actually, or it wasn't as intense, or something that we wouldn't consider SA compared to the number of women who aren't actually counted in that statistic? Yeah,
so this is a really difficult question, because we're talking about soft sciences. Science is only as effective as you have controls.
Right.
And that's why hard science works really well and why the replication crisis affects soft sciences so badly. And so without great controls, which means great criteria, we're just speculating ultimately, right? And so that's why when I hear kind of these tortured numbers thrown out of, most men could be predatory or most women have experienced SA and this and that, it seems to me that that's not very clear and that the controls are not very good and that we're mostly going off of self-reports, not court reports. Right. And so, I'm just not willing to kind of concede that that's true, right? Okay. And I mean, you seem reasonable. I don't even think you would, right? If you find out that is indeed the case, wouldn't you kind of have to like readjust your positioning and thought process around it?
Can you or specify, restate your question?
Yeah, so like if you found out that, wait, there's really soft controls here and we can't really know. We don't really know. We don't really know the answer to these questions.
Maybe then I would reconsider, yeah.
That's all I'm asking you to do. It's just like reconsider the opposite possibility that there's perhaps been a lot of brainwashing designed specifically to be divisive, to make men look.
Why do you think they would want to make men look worse?
Well, because I think that a lot of these control studies are done by very progressive and very feminist operated universities. And I think that they're not trying to solve for a real hard scientific answer, but rather they're trying to only get at the heart of kind of the ideology that they're trying to promote. And so they'll make the data fit the ideology rather than moving the ideology around the data.
Okay.